And there's nothing that is coming from this P2B's campaign that is going to slow them down from completing that overrun and conquest, even ahead of we remember again we talked about plan A, B, and C of the caliphate. Plan A being conquest, raw conquest as we are seeing. Plan B being to disrupt the security situation further and assume martial powers, or suspend the election on their own terms, suspend the constitution, and begin to do whatever they choose, like we saw in Afghanistan. And so where we are is that it is in that plan C, which takes off from February of 2023, that P2B is playing, and all the other campaigns. That's where they're playing. But particularly the one that has now attracted this massive followership of the young people who thought that what we needed was just a good man that will come, and a competent man that will come and drive a vehicle that has no engine. But to land it somewhere so that we can, our thesis, our charge is that if elections happen in 2023 under this constitution and P2B wins that election, he's not going to touch that constitution. Why do we say so? Look at the people who have been endorsing him and promoting him. Ibrahim Babangida, Olusegun Obasanjo, Aliyu Gusau, Hakim Baba Ahmed, Ango Abdullahi. These 5 men are the most adamantly opposed to anything that will touch that constitution. We remember that Ibrahim Babangida came out a few years ago when this debate of restructuring was building up, to say that the question of the constitutional arrangements is settled. Say these are settled issues. And that if anybody insists that those issues which have been settled in the battlefield of Biafra will have to be revisited, that is the constitutional arrangement. If anybody insists that we have to revisit it, that he will be prepared to wear his uniform and go back to the battlefield. He hasn't said anything, to depart from that position. That's his position. This constitution must stay. If anybody wants it to change, we will go to war. That's Ibrahim Babangida. Olusegun Obasanjo, we have engaged him from the time he came in 1999. I attended this inauguration in 1999 on account of, because it was an overflow from NADECO. At the time he was coming, we were thinking that we'll go straight to the question of resolving this constitution. I wasted 5 years on Olusegun Obasanjo trying to get him to solve this problem. He became the biggest opposition to touching that constitution. Rather, he wanted to build Nigeria on that constitution they imposed. And we go back to 1979, we remember that it was Obasanjo that presided over the imposition that came in 1979 that was now carried forward in 1999, when he was the one they took from prison to revive that 1979 constitution. And so Obasanjo had been central to how this constitution had been central to the coming of this constitution, to the sustenance of this constitution, and having engaged him very closely. In fact, when we called the Pronaco conference, he went on national TV to say we were committing treason, because we called a meeting of the owners of Nigeria to discuss the terms of our union that had gone, very bad. And so Obasanjo is one of those who cannot be counted on the side of those who want something to change in that constitution. If he's promoting P2B's candidacy, what has P2B covenanted with them? What has P2B covenanted with Babangida and Obasanjo for them to be marketing him? What has he covenanted with Hakim Baba Ahmed? There have been a number of times we had to mention him as one of those who is luring us on behalf of the caliphate to an election that will give life back to a constitution we have defeated. I don't want to talk about Ango Abdullahi and his reckless talks over the years of we are born to rule you. I don't want to talk about Gusau. Everybody knows that, where he stands, with Ibrahim Babangida at the head of the pack. And so, if these are the men promoting the candidature of P2B, we allege that P2B has covenanted with them privately as condition for that support, that he will not touch that constitution if he won. If that is not the case, Peter Obi himself has to come to the public to tell us what it is. To tell us what he's going to do about that constitution, because everything he's saying about economic this, economic that, will not solve the problems we're talking about. The Union of Nigeria, defined by this 1999 constitution, is no longer a project. You have more than 3/4 of the country saying they are no longer interested in the union. The Yoruba on the street, the eastern side is on the street talking Biafra. The other people are being killed in the middle belt. You don't want to address all of that. You are talking about economic. What is the meaning of economic? I don't even know how to call it. It sounds like the animal farm statistics we have been seeing. Peter Obi should also tell us what he went to do in Downing Street the day before he went to Labour Party. Because we know the role of Britain. We also know, we have our own sources of knowing what was discussed in all these places, whether it's in Downing Street or in Mina or in Otta. So we are saying with certainty that if Peter Obi wins on behalf of Labour Party in 2023, the 1999 constitution is intact. He has covenanted with those who are promoting his candidacy that he will not touch it. The young people who are looking for change and who think it is by going with Peter Obi that they will get that change, NINAS is telling you now that no such change will happen. We praise you for standing up and rejecting what you don't like. The time to sit down and talk about what we'll do with the revolution, because the revolution already happened. The only thing remaining now, what are we going to do with that revolution? Can't we pull together all that force and direct it at the base of the problem that is the constitution? This was the same thing we tried to tell those who did answers. Let us demand for the turning off of the tap. There's no other thing that will solve this problem. And with the situation is not even static. The situation is going to degenerate into where you will be overrun. And Afghanistan will happen to you because you are not listening. NINAS will be proposing that all of those who want change, including those who are doing PVC revolution, should come. Let us find a way to redirect that energy to the source of the problem, to turning off the tap, instead of going to get power for 4 years or 8 years at the dictation of those who impose the constitution that tie our hands and our legs. I think we can leave it there for now. Thank you.